A strong earthquake hit the Aegean Sea on Friday, bringing buildings crashing down in Turkey and setting off tidal waves which slammed into coastal areas and nearby Greek islands. A magnitude of up to 7 was recorded for the quake when it struck in the afternoon. Early reports from the Disaster Emergency Management Presidency say that there have been several fatalities, with hundreds more injured. In the Turkish tourist destination of Izmir, there were reports of people stuck in the rubble of collapsed buildings. Some neighbourhoods were deluged with surging seawater, sweeping a flood of debris inland and leaving fish stranded as it receded. Residents of the Greek island of Samos, which has a population of about 45,000, were urged to stay away from coastal areas. High tidal wave warnings were in place across the area, with the vice mayor saying they'd never experienced anything like it. Turkey and Greece have been caught up in a bitter dispute over resources in the Mediterranean Sea, but Ankara said the respective foreign ministers spoke by phone after the earthquake and agreed they were ready to help one another.
France stepped up security nationwide against new Islamist attacks a day after the fatal stabbings at the church in Nice. Police overpowered a man in the French capital Paris on Friday when he threatened officers with 2 knives. President Emmanuel Macron has deployed thousands of soldiers to protect sites such as places of worship and schools. France's security alert is now raised to its highest level. Police were holding a 21-year-old Tunisian migrant named as Brahim El Awissaoui. He arrived in Nice by train from Italy on Thursday morning and made his way to the Notre Dame church. French police believe he was the attacker who killed a 55-year-old sexton and beheaded a 60-year-old woman before stabbing a mother of 3, Simone Barreto Silva, who fled to a nearby cafe and raised the alarm before she died. In the Tunisian city of Sfax, Awissaoui's family told Reuters they were shocked at the idea he had committed such a violent crime. This is his sister.
No one can understand how this happened.
His brother said the family had spoken to him on a video call outside the church hours before the attack. He had shown no sign that he planned any violence. Thursday's attack on the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad took place at a time of swelling Muslim anger across the globe at the issue of French cartoons depicting the Prophet, which they deem insulting and blasphemous. Tens of thousands of Muslims protested across the globe, chanting slogans and accusing Macron of Islamophobia on Friday for defending the right to publish such cartoons. France was already in mourning from another deadly attack when a school teacher was beheaded in a Paris suburb. He'd shown his pupils similar cartoons in a class on freedom of expression.
Standing in solidarity with their Polish sisters on Wednesday, hundreds of pro-choice demonstrators gather outside the Polish embassy in Stockholm, Sweden. Chanting, "Revolution is a woman," they're one of several rallies around the globe this past week, angry about a top Polish court's decision to ban nearly all abortions in the predominantly Catholic nation. There have been similar scenes in London, Oslo, Berlin, Brussels, and Chicago. After the court ruling goes into effect, abortions due to fetal abnormalities, which make up the vast majority of legal terminations in Poland, will be banned. The procedure will only be permitted in cases of rape, incest, or when the mother's health is at risk.
We show that we do not agree with what's happening in Poland and we want changes. Revolution is a woman.
Since the ruling was announced 8 days ago, Poland has been rocked by huge demonstrations and nationwide strikes, most of them peaceful. Protesters blame the ruling Law and Justice Party for the court's decision, as well as a powerful Catholic Church. On Thursday, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki made a direct appeal to the women's rights activists. He urged them to halt their demonstrations for the sake of public health. Coronavirus infections have tripled in Poland in under a month.
Ideological disputes are for sure very important and we have to have them, but let's make it in a way so that we do not create the additional danger of death, especially to the elderly, to our mothers and fathers. That's my appeal.
More protests are planned across Poland later this week, including a mass gathering in Warsaw on Friday.
A coronavirus miracle in Peru. Not enough that baby Jorgito was born 3 months premature, his life also started with a positive test for COVID-19. That meant spending the first part of his life under round-the-clock care in a Lima hospital. Weighing just half a kilo when he was born, Jorgito contracted the virus through his mother, who was suffering with coronavirus back in mid-June, when the pandemic was at its peak in Peru. Now, after months of recovery, Jorgito and his mother, Lisiyaya, are due to be discharged from hospital.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that we're together, that we can have contact as mother and child. For me, Jorgito is a symbol of love, hope, and above all else, faith.
The scale of the coronavirus pandemic in India increased again on Thursday as the country reached the grim milestone of 8 million cases. India is the world's second most populous nation and also has the second highest tally of infections after the United States, which has recorded 8.8 million. Cases in India have dipped sharply from September's peak, but experts warned the current festival season, which traditionally means celebrations all around the country, could bring about another spike. Prasanna Kumar is a pulmonologist at a hospital in Bangalore treating COVID-19 patients.
We should not relax. Definitely we are also prone for the second wave. What we have learned in the previous SARS and MERS, the second wave was supposed to be the dangerous one.
The death toll has been low relative to infections, with 517 new deaths recorded in the last 24 hours. According to Health Ministry figures, the total number of people who've died from the disease is now over 120,000.
Only 4 days left.
Heading into the final weekend before the election, U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden barnstormed across Midwestern battleground states Friday, where the coronavirus has roared back. Their rallies came as the country hit yet another grim milestone, recording its 9 millionth COVID-19 case Friday, with 17 states this week hitting record numbers of daily cases. The virus killing up to 1,000 people a day or more, the death toll now at nearly 230,000 people. And yet Trump, in Michigan, one of the hardest hit states, again insisted the country is, quote, rounding the corner in its fight against the disease, and made this baseless claim.
You know, our doctors get more money if somebody dies from COVID. You know that, right?
Trump, who has held packed rallies where many people don't wear masks despite recommendations from public health officials, spotted conservative Fox News host Laura Ingraham in the crowd and chided her for being, quote, politically correct for wearing a mask.
Where is Laura? I can't recognize you. Is that a mask? No way. Are you wearing a mask? I've never seen her in a mask. Look at you. Whoa, she's being very politically correct. Whoa.
Biden in Iowa, where polls show him running close to Trump, again blasted the president's response to the virus, saying Trump's failure to contain it had cost lives and sent the economy into a tailspin.
1 in 6 businesses now out of business because he won't act. Imagine if he had told us in January how dangerous this was and took action. It's estimated there'll be over 130,000 people still alive. Unlike Donald Trump, we'll not surrender to this virus.
Both candidates on Friday also had planned stops in Wisconsin and Minnesota, 2 of the 3 historically Democratic industrial states, along with Pennsylvania, which narrowly voted for Trump in 2016, delivering him an upset victory. Trump plans to hold several rallies in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Biden, running mate Kamala Harris, and their spouses will spend their last day of campaigning on Monday in Pennsylvania, enabling them to hit all 4 corners of that closely divided state in the race's final hours.
Scientists have discovered a massive detached coral reef taller than the Empire State Building. It's the first discovery of its kind in over a century, and the reef is healthy and thriving. Footage captured by scientists shows clownfish paddling between vibrant peach and pink coral. A colourful scene found last week by a team from James Cook University. Marine scientist Dr. Robin Beeman led the mission.
It was real eye-opener to bring the ROV up over the ledge, literally climb onto the summit and then peer around in the warm photic water to see all of the fish and coral and sharks there. So very healthy coral ecosystem on this top of a 500-metre tall reef. It's not something you discover every day.
The nearly mile-long structure was named the Blade Reef for its sharp peak and was found by using an underwater robot named Sebastian. And with its help, the team collected samples to be archived.
We've found new fish species, new black coral species. We have been taking samples with the ROV because it has a hand, and we have a permit from the Marine Park that allows us to collect these rare corals.
This part of the seabed stands in contrast to the northern part of the Great Barrier Reef, which is suffering from bleaching. That is where warm water causes coral to expel the algae that feeds it, and ecosystems are destroyed.
We didn't see any evidence of bleaching. What we saw instead was quite a thriving coral reef and sponge community, probably more fish than we've seen on any of the other ROV dives.
The discovery is a welcome breakthrough for scientists, after a study was published earlier this month that found the Great Barrier Reef had lost more than half its coral in the last 3 decades.